on family. So let's start with family.
Okay, so I have been married for 18 years. This year will be my 19th. And I have 4 children. And I have other kids who live with me as well. Yeah, so my oldest is 17. The one after him is 15. I have 12, and then I have 8 years.
God bless.
Yes, so that's from the family side, and I'm married to Emmanuel. Okay, so the first is Elikem. I have Elikem, Sedinam, Eyram, and Elinam. Yes.
Tell me about your husband. Is he quiet?
And my husband is Emmanuel Fiagbenu. Yes.
Is he quiet?
Is he quiet? No, not at all.
You wouldn't like to hear this.
He's not quiet. He's very active, vibrant, adventurous. He's sober. He's great.
Are you quiet?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
You don't think I'm quiet? Hey, Matthew is shaking his head.
What do you like about him now?
Oh, he's such a great husband. Especially because we are talking about Mother's Day. He's a great help to me and my family. My mother lives with me. My mother has been living with me for the past 18 years, or maybe 17 years, because when we got married, my husband was traveling to the UK in and out. So when I had my first child, my mom came in to live with me. And then my sister, the one after me, the two of us had our kids around the same time. When I had my son on Monday, she had hers on Wednesday. So my mom had to bring us together to take care of the kids. And since then, it's been so, anyone who delivers comes to my mom. So my house is like the base for, nurturing all the babies. And then when they are older, they go to their mothers. So yes, and my husband is very accommodating of my work. And even if I have to take the kids for weighing, I remember those days when if I have to take the kids for weighing and I have an urgent meeting, I always try to take a day off when I have to take the kids, to the hospital, to the clinic. But if it happens that I have something that I cannot, do away with, and I have to be at work, to be in a meeting of some sort, he will happily take the kids. Yes.
I must call him.
He's done that several times. He will just take the kids. Sometimes with my mom, if my mom is not there, he will take the kids. And until if the kids are not well, they have to go to the hospital, and he would always take them if I'm not around. So he's such a great man.
Let me wish you a happy Mother's Day as well. Gina, let me welcome you and wish you a happy Mother's Day. So let me come to you, Julia. I asked her what she likes about it. She's really fair that I asked what she likes.
Everything. You know what? To a large extent, one, I think what I love most about him is his patience. He's very patient with me. I don't think I'm the easiest person. I can be quite demanding at times, and somehow he balances me out very well. But as Gina was saying, when it comes to the kids, he is an amazing father. He is the one that most of the times will do the doctor visits, everything. And he is super understanding and supportive of my work schedule, and even me trying in vain sometimes to work out and try and stay somewhat trim. Like he is very supportive of all the different schedules and everything. And beyond that, I remember even when I started my career, and this was back in Canada, and a lot of times I would be going to him for feedback. He would give me feedback on my work, and really, so he was that sounding board in every aspect of my life. And so if I think, there's so many things I love about him. there are a lot, but really I would say it's the support that he gives to me more than anything, and the kind of husband and father that he is.
I'm learning from the two of you, because when people are starting out on this journey, looking out for partners, lots of thoughts are given to other considerations. But from what you're saying, I'm realizing that for longevity, if you want to hit the 18, the 21, the years that and still be in love, other things come into play that are weightier than the seemingly trivial things that people tend to consider. But let me ask you, how difficult is it to be a lady professional and then to maintain the home? Let me start with you, Gina. I mean, I let me put this context around this. I visited a friend of mine in Nigeria. He's the founder of one of the biggest banks in the country. And I was in town and I wanted to hang out with him, and I called him, and he had agreed we should talk in the evening. So I called him at the time. I presumed he would have closed work. I called him at 8, he wasn't available. Called him at 9, he wasn't available. Called him at 10, he wasn't available. My last call was at 11. When he called me back the next day, I said, when I called you at 11, you still didn't pick. He said, we just started our management meeting.
Really?
They started a management meeting at 10, and he said they closed at 1. And I said, wow.
In the night.
Are there ladies on the are there ladies on the management team? And so I was talking to somebody, he said it is normal. Corporate work can be very demanding. So from your perspective, Gina, how do you balance corporate work, ministry life, and then family?
It's not an easy one, like you rightly discussed or pointed out. It's quite a challenge trying to balance being a mother, being yes, if you want to be a spiritual person, because you have to go to work from morning to evening, and then prepare, Saturdays are for funerals and weddings and taking care of the home, and then Sunday you have to go to church. Sometimes there's a temptation for you to say that you are tired. You didn't want to go to church because you look at all the things you have to do within the week. I mean, from where I live now, we have relocated. We are quite outside Accra. We have to wake up around 4. By 5:30, we are getting out of the house. The kids have to be in school by 6:30, and so you have to go to work and quickly, come rush and pick the kids and take them home. It's not an easy one, but like I said, because my husband is very understanding, and I'm very fortunate to have my mom with me, and she helps with the kids. And then I've been also very fortunate to have a very good nanny or housekeeper for the house, and I've had my last one she's been around for I think about 9 years or so.
Wow.
So I've been very fortunate when it comes to that. I think that has been one of the reasons why I've been able to manage my career very well, because for the kind of work I do, you have to travel around the country. Every year I have to visit all the 10 regions with my team. And my team, we are made up of six women and just one guy. And we travel around the country. These are all young mothers. We have to go to Upper West, Upper East, Kumasi, go to Takrady, wherever. So it's not easy. It's not easy at all. But if you have help, I think that what makes it quite manageable is if you have a husband who is very understanding of what you do and understand. For example, I had to be here this evening. The kids actually wanted us to have a family. They said they wanted us to have a Mother's Day celebration.
Right.
So we're going to have dinner together. And then I just took my bag and said, I have to be here. He said, oh, what time are you coming? I said, I'm sure I will be home around 9 p.m. They said, we'll wait for you.
So I'll play a song for them.
Yes, and they said they will wait because they wanted all of us to sing together.
Because this is for them.
Well, I hope so. If they are not watching TV, so I mean the kids have to be understanding as well, right. But you have to make sure that you are also at every important event in their lives. When they have their PTAs, especially, we never want to miss any PTAs. If they have open days, if they are vacating at the beginning of every school term, we have to talk to the teachers, and at the end of every school term we also make time to talk to the teachers, go through their report cards with the teachers when they have their open days. So it's not easy because you want to be good at everything, and it's not easy to balance it. But if you have help, it makes it easier to manage.
Well, I can tell you said the words, it's not easy 8 times. I was counting almost 10. It's not easy. It's not easy.
Oh, but
not
it's
easy.
true.
The point has been made. It is 21 minutes past the hour, so you just joined us. This is the Mother's Day edition of Springboard University. My guest, Gina Fiagbenu and Gillian Hammer, trying to help me unpack the three-legged stool of ministry, family, and professional development. These are all equally important. And how do we unpack and how do we make all three work? Gina has given us 5 prescriptions. An understanding husband is 1, understanding children is 2, mother support is 3, a great nanny is 4, and then making the important dates and events in the lives of the children is 5. I'm going to come back to you, Gillian, and I'm going to go straight to number 4, because we did a research at Springboard and Legacy into the critical success factors, and decided we'll do a whole show on the role of the house help or the nanny or the domestic assistant, because from our interactions with professionals we came to the conclusion that if you get a good one you can rise, if you get a bad one it can stand your whole career. How big an issue is the kind of domestic assistant you get, Julia?
It is a massive issue, and I think, Gina, you're so blessed to have somebody that has been working for you for like 9 years. Oh, I'm very envious because I mean, in the last 5 years, I think I am now on number 3 or 4. No, it's not that. I know there's some people who are every few months. Yes, but you know the thing is that I mean, growing up, the house helps we used to have, they were part of the family. The ones that come in today, for the most part, they just don't care. Like, they come in and within a few months they have attitudes, they don't want to clean, they don't want to do anything, and they expect to get paid, of course. But if you can find a house help who can love your children the way you love them, that you know if you're not there they will worry about whether the kids are eating, whether they've had their bath, that's the kind of house help that you want, and one that keeps the place clean, of course. There's some I've had, Albert, they don't see dirt at all. So the dirt is there and they're not seeing it, and you're pointing it out and they're not seeing it. That's the kind of house help that will drive you crazy. But we're so blessed. So what I would say on that really is, if you have the right house help, it puts your mind at ease. Fortunately, my mom lives with us as well. So she's there, she's busy, she does her own thing, but it still is this source of comfort that you know that there's an extra set of eyes that looks after your things the way you would. But the whole house help issue, if you don't have the right one, and you're always worried about whether they're taking care of the things, children mostly, I think, is the biggest concern with them. Whether they will stand up, whether they'll watch out for your kids, whether they will maintain the house you want. Albert, I don't know how to say it, how critical it is. It is, I'm so passionate when it comes to house help, because I feel the pain when it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It is 24 minutes past the hour of 7 o'clock. I can hear somebody at home saying, listen, call me, put me on the line. I will give you the breakdown. When I open the phone lines a bit later in the show, tell me your experience. How are you managing the golden triangle? Professional development, spiritual nature or ministry, and then also family. Equally important pillars of your life. A human being is not just one dimensional, we are multi-dimensional, and I've chosen 3 of the very critical pillars in our lives for us to explore how do we find balance in these areas, and what should we do to ensure that we are developing and not neglecting some of these equally critical areas. So far we've been finding out some of the critical success factors, and we are spending a bit of time on the role of the domestic assistant. And one of the things that has come up, and I call them domestic assistants, but really, I mean, it's just different nomenclature for the same thing. Some call them house helps, nannies. Very, very critical, especially for the development of the female professional, because it's not your fault that work closes the time it does. When you sit on the show and people say, listen, make quality time, you go to work, the time work starts. It's not within your ambit to choose. And the time work closes is not within your ambit. You can try sending them text messages from the platform. It's not just easy, to use Gina's words. So the role of that person is always very, very helpful. But we also are finding out that it's not that easy to find a good one and one that will last. But the envy in the studio is palpable because
I know.
Julian has openly admitted that she envies Gina, who's
You'll
had
have to give me your secrets after.
in that regard. What is your experience? When I open the phone lines, just share your own experience. Let me come to the issue of mentors. Mentors, as you try to place your feet well, because somebody said to me, I cried for the first 3 years because I didn't understand why the world was so cruel, until somebody sat me down and showed me that my mind was not a peculiar case, and then suddenly I felt not so helpless and flustered. But until then, I just kept crying every day because it looked so impossible to manage and balance. What is the role of that person who's gone on the road before you, who will sit you down and say, Jillian, Gina, do it this way and balance it this way, either professionally or ministerially or in the family? Let me come to you, Gina, for that one. Have you had mentors?
Yes, I would say so. I've had a lot of mentors. Even as a young girl when I was in school, I always stayed very close to quite a number of my teachers. I had a lot of teachers who mentored me. For example, I don't know whether I said it here, but then I said that the person who got me inspired to write was actually my teacher when I was in secondary school, who actually told me I needed to take up writing, and I never took it.
Let me remind you of where you said it was in Tamale on the Springboard show.
Sharp memory.
Yeah, I remember very well.
Yes. So it's always been like that. Most of my teachers have mentored me into getting me to focus, and so throughout my school days, even up to university, I always either had a lecturer or a teaching assistant who took interest in me, was either grooming me to be a lecturer or to do my masters or to be a teaching assistant. Every point, every critical stage of my life, I had mentors. In my church, I had older women who also took interest in me. As a young girl, I went to a charismatic church when I was very young. So I went through Sunday school, and I had my pastor's wife. I remember Mrs. Doris Antonio. She's still a mentor to me, who would always, before I go to secondary school, she would tell me, this is how a woman should be. You should be focused. You should take God seriously. You have to be. She really gave me some things that I needed to look out for. And so I was very, very focused when I was in school, right all the way to the university. Of course, I would say that most of the skills that I now exhibit, the values that I hold dear, is for my mother, who gave me a very good social upbringing. Although she wasn't educated at all, she taught us to take education seriously. And I remember every time, because my father had 7 girls, and my father, yes, lived in the north, and my mother was here alone by herself, with 7 girls, and we're living in the heart of the city in Tudu, if you know where Tudu is. And we lived there throughout our childhood, up to the time that we all got married. We lived in Tudu. And I remember that when we were young, people used to say that, oh, you can't raise a girl, in this locality, because they will amount to nothing. They will be pregnant, they won't go to school. But each and every one of us went through school and got married and got out of the place.
And we that to the role of the strong mother.
The strong mother. My mother was not educated, but she taught us what to do. Even when I was in university, I don't ever remember that I went to a friend's house. I just knew that from school I had to come home. When I was in secondary school, I went to a day school. From school, I had to come home. Even excursions, she would decide which excursion you had to attend, which entertainments you had to attend. And at the time, I thought she was very strict, but now I appreciate I appreciate the kind of training she gave to us. And it was all because she gave us godly knowledge. She allowed us to go to church. She allowed us to go to evening, if you are going to choir practice and all that. And we knew that we had to go to choir practice and come back home, because you had been given that opportunity, to experience God. And I remember that as young as we were, and the last 3 of us, at a point in time, she had just 3 girls with her because my older sisters had to go and live with my dad, to go through polytechnic and all that in the north. And we all went through the 3 of us, young girls, would go to church in the evening and come back home, because she always told us that a woman's worth is her education. And so we should strive to get the best in education. And I remember that the only books that the only gifts we were given were books. Even till date, my kids, if you are traveling, wherever you are, if I ask my kids what gift they like, they will all talk about books. Books, they want an enlightening or something.
Transgenerational kind of transfer of
sure.
values, ethics, and principles.
Yes.
I'm going to come back to this, but at this point, I mean, when we come back from the break that will be taken shortly, I'll be putting 2 very big mentors of mine, female, 2 women I greatly admire on the phone lines for them to share about the role of mentoring and about professional development. Dr. Joyce Aye and Afiamoro of Jandel. I'll be putting them on the line very shortly. But let me come to you, Gillian. Have mentors held your hand and pointed you in the right direction at critical moments in your life?
In the later part of my life, I would say yes. Growing up, not so much. To a large extent, when I was growing up, both my parents were around, but first we grew up in a very strict church, so everything was very closed in. You almost weren't allowed to really associate with a lot of people. Then when we left that church, we kind of went to the other extreme. And so my teenage years really were spent having lots and lots of fun and going to parties and doing all of that. It wasn't until university that I kind of I'd had enough. And I said, you know what, I need a change in my life. And by that point, my mom had also found the Lord. And so she kind of brought us back into church. But I would say, so to a large extent, the cues that I took growing up were from, I would say, my parents. My dad, from him, I got his work ethic. Like, he is a workhorse, and I've turned out to be the exact same way, where sometimes people say, Gillian, when do you ever sleep? When do you rest? Hardly. But it's what drives me. And so I know I got that from him, and I've watched him, and we've spoken quite a bit. So I take a lot of learnings from him. My mom, to a large extent, she was the kind of mother that she was a friend to us. So I learned communication through her. I learned how I wanted to raise my children, and I didn't want them at arm's length feeling scared or anything. So I learned that bit from her, and I always told myself that whenever I have kids, I would want to have that relationship where they feel they can come and talk to me about anything. From then becoming a bit older, I would say once I went back into church, my pastors played a really, really big role. There are a few of them, and even into marriage, the counseling that we got 20 years ago is still the counseling that keeps me today. And it's the same that I share with other younger people. So I haven't had a lot of mentors the way some people have been blessed in every corner.
Parents are actually mentors.
Okay then. But the ones that I've had have really, really made an impact and built me into the kind of person that I am today. So I'm very grateful.
25 minutes to the hour of 8 o'clock. My guest for tonight, if you just joined us, Gina Fiagbino of MTN and Gillian Hammer of Databank, helping us to explore the other aspects of their lives, ministry, and then also family, as we try to break down what we call the golden triangle of professional development, ministerial development, and then also family development, all round balanced leaders. It's a Mother's Day edition, and we'll take a brief break and then come back and talk to some very notable mentors. What has been your experience in trying to find balance in these 3 areas? We'll find out as we open the phone lines to share your own experience as well. But let me tell you that if you want to send money to your mother on this very special Mother's Day, it's not too late. Just go and download the new EcoBank mobile app and send money very fast. And no matter what country they are in, there are 33 countries on the continent, and you can send money to there are 33 countries in the continent in which you can send money via the EcoBank mobile app, and you can also download the app and pay your bills with the tap of a finger. No bank account, no worries. Just open the EcoBank Express account instantly on your mobile. No forms and no account handling fees to pay ever. Download the new app today and enjoy the new digital experience. The EcoBank mobile app is available on Google Play Store and the App Store, and EcoBank definitely is the Pan-African bank. Let me remind you of an easy way to get a car for your mother. It's taking over this thing. You deserve to win amazing prizes in the MTN 4G taking over promo. Keep doing what you love on MTN 4G. Yes, text more, browse more, talk more, and do more mobile money transactions, and you could be the lucky one to move into that posh 2-bedroom house, drive home one of the 4 sleek Hyundai cars every month, win cash prizes, enjoy super fast 4G on that iPhone 8, Samsung S8, or win loads of airtime. All these prizes are available. It's a chance to take over. Just switch to MTN 4G today and get 10,000 bonus points to start now. Dial *120# for more details. You too can take over with the MTN 4G taking over promo everywhere you go. This is for MTN 4G customers only, and of course terms and conditions do apply. Let me bring you a brief message from MTN and from EcoBank, and then when I come back, let me raise my mentors, female mentors, on the phone, and let's talk about life.
Moving on up is paying from your phone and getting looks of approval from your friends. Moving on up is doing all your banking from your bathroom like a boss. Moving on up is losing your wallet, but your money is still safe. Moving on up is attaching any bank's card to the EcoBank mobile app. Oh yeah, download the EcoBank mobile app. Make we go and bank like a boss.
Move on up with EcoBank, the Pan-African bank.
MTN 4G promo na fio no nay. International na chemi akan winika. Nye senye kenye ya wan ko kan she bi fe. Alaka mo.
Midindia Otana Ponsa, my Winika Hyundai i10. MTN taking over. Aye papa so winjin dia JD also be adding on gym.
My name is Richard Agala. I'm a testimony to that, and I've actually received my mobile money beep telling me that my 5,000 cedi cash award is on my wallet.
My name is Charles Banker, and I just won a Hyundai Ascent on the MTN taking over promo. This one, no only believe you know la blah blah blah. So we should keep texting, keep browsing, use the MTN mobile money. MTN taking over, we taking over everywhere.
Joe Uchai, what you switch you call MTN 4G? Now yet the way. Now sign take you over. I checked in the floor, 2-bedroom house, brand new cars from Hyundai, 4G enabled devices, and the cash prices way above man. Yo, the guy, match it all. Charlie, also take you over.
All right, you definitely are on radio. This is Springboard of Virtual University. Afi Amoro, the woman they call Jandel. Afi Jandel. That's how your name is saved on my phone. Afi Jandel. She's the one on this phone line tonight. Afi, good evening and happy Mother's Day to you.
Thank you, Albert, and to all of you in the studio and your beautiful, wonderful listeners. I say to all the women of this world and in this country, I sincerely wish you a happy Mother's Day.
You're always smiling. How do you manage to balance your heavy schedule as CEO of a company like Jandel, and then your family issues, your adult children, and the societal issues, and then also church and so on? How do you find that balance?
The balance is in having faith that God has got you. There is a little saying that I saw on the internet which says that choose God over your problems, and everything else will fall into place. And that has been my principle. It's a God-centered thing, and sometimes I don't even know how I manage to go through every day. When I think of the problems, the challenges, and so many people leaning on you for support and encouragement. It's a heavy toll. It takes a heavy toll. But with God, I always choose to be happy. I always choose to be positive.
I'm hanging out with you several times. I hear you talk passionately about developing people, developing the next generation, investing in people, mentoring people. Why is that so big for you?
Because that is my future. That is the future. You see, I've just come back from a course, and what we were told was that continuous education that Springboard is doing, you don't have to even sit in a classroom, but Springboard teaches people through the power of radio to manage their business, how to go about various challenges in their life. So education is continuous. And if you don't get onto that gravy train, my friend, you are lost.
So in a very intense world with all the arrows flying left, right, center, and you talk about being God-centered. Somebody says, Charlie, and when the bills are not balancing, when the market is so fierce and sometimes male-dominated, how do you find your level? How do you find your space? What would be advice to that young person, that young lady professional who says the challenges are so intense that you sometimes feel like giving up?
I mean, giving up should never be part of the equation. If anybody who has passed the age of 18 and above should take a critical look at your past and think of the problems that, in quotes, you thought were gargantuan and you have been able to overcome them, then what is it that you cannot do? With tenacity of spirit, focus, and a drive to succeed, I don't think that there's anything you cannot do. So for all the young ladies and all the men, the young men, you don't have to dance according to somebody's tune. Stay focused in what you believe is your niche and keep at it, and success will crown your efforts.
Afi Jandal, keep smiling and keep doing what you do best, bringing out the best in people. Have a beautiful day and a happy Mother's Day to you.
Thank you. I want to wish my mother, for whom without her I couldn't have reached where I am. I wish her a happy Mother's Day. I love you, Mommy, Mrs. Jackson. I really do.
All right, we salute Mrs. Jackson as well, and Afi Jandal. Have a beautiful evening. Afi Amoro is on the show with us, sharing her thoughts on the balance between family, ministry, and then of course professional development. Let's bring on board a woman they call Ghana's Joyce Ayi. Look, hey, the woman that we say, Charlie, it is our president that never was. But Auntie Joyce, you are celebrated widely across this nation for who you are and what you represent. Happy Mother's Day to you, Auntie Joyce.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you, Reverend. Amen. And I wish comfort.
The very same.
Dr. Joyce, so many people look up to you. Sometimes I feel for you, because it's almost like everyone wants a piece of Dr. Joyce. How do you manage to spread yourself so that you satisfy everyone in that huge constituency of yours?
Unfortunately, remember, but I am not able to satisfy everyone. I am not. There are times when I really want to, but I can't. So the Lord gives me grace to respond and say no, even when it looks like people are bent on having a piece of me.
Let me explore that.
Gracious words always help, and that's what happens.
And just let me explore the word no used. It's a very simple word, 2 letters, but it is. Oh, don't tell me. All right, we'll raise Dr. Joyce Ayi again on the phone, but the words no she used were so poignant for me, because it is easy to say what do you say yes to, but what do you say no to? And that is probably even more important than what you say yes to, because the things you say no to will determine how far you reach in life. So let me bring back Dr. Joyce Ayi on the line and find out. Dr. Joyce, so I was asking you about the word no. How important is it to say no to some things in order to say yes to the right things?
It is extremely important. You know, in our own tradition or in our culture, we say ye here and sana ya near fata, which means that in taking decisions, you have to distinguish between the absolutely necessary and what is, well, acceptable. And I think Paul even has the same thing, he says, I'm allowed to do all things, but it's not all things that are good for me. Saying no is absolutely critical, because otherwise we will not be able to deal with the priorities of our calling, whether as mothers, whether as workers, whether as people in ministry. Because as for the demand, there are many. And I think we need to learn from the Lord Jesus. You remember in Mark's Gospel, in Capernaum, after a night of, healing people and so on, early the next morning, he went to pray. Right. And the people went and, confronted him and said, oh, everybody is looking for you. Then he said, no, I must go somewhere else. I must go to the other towns as well. So we need to learn to say that 2-word letter. It's painful. It's uncomfortable. Sometimes it actually will cost you some relationships. But we need to do the needful. We need to do the needful. Too many of us are afraid to say no. And we end up not even doing anything well.
That's just say, how are you spending this evening of Mother's Day? If I can come a bit closer to you, to your private life. How are you spending this evening on Mother's Day?
Quietly. I have offended 2 organizations because, I have this live radio program on Sunny FM.
Yes.
Yes. And, it's ministry. People are waiting for the Lord to, speak to them through the program. And I find it very difficult to walk away from it and do other things. So I've offended 2 organizations, and I have apologized. I just pray they will forgive me, but I have to say no.
I forgive you on their behalf.
And blessing his name for keeping me alive.
Dr. Joyce, we just smuggled a cake into the studio. We'll cut it on behalf of you, Afia Moro, and all the great women of Ghana who have poured your lives into our lives to make us who we are today. We celebrate and honor you and pray for long life, good health, and peace of mind and heart as you serve God and serve this nation so well. Thank you so much, and happy Mother's Day, Auntie Joyce.
Thank you so much.
Right. My boss, I'll tell her. Dr. Joyce, I joined us in the studio on the phone lines to talk about that balance that we are trying to explore. The phone lines are now open, 030-221-6541. What do you want to talk about? Is it the balance between family, ministry, and career, or is it about finding the right domestic assistant? Have you had a good experience, or have your fingers been badly bent as a professional? I heard a story that was so scary. Let me not spoil your Mother's Day. I won't tell you today. Oh, you want to hear it? Some have very good experience, some have very bad ones as well. And you just pray that God will help you. So what has been your experience? Call us and let's talk. 030-221-6541. On Mother's Day, how are you finding the balance as a woman between profession, career, and ministry? And what has been your your experience with a supportive husband, or supportive children, or supportive domestic assistant? Oh, what has been your experience? Have you missed the open day before and the children have put you on suspension for 2 weeks? Tell us your experience when you call into the studio. I mean, Gillian,
the G's are here.
I know. It's been a struggle for me every time.
I know.
Somehow I always bring the 2 of you together too.
Yes.
Yes, I bring you together so I can struggle. All right, let me take our first caller and find out if somebody is making some progress along this line of the Golden Triangle. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening, Uncle. This is Eliezer calling from Adana.
I thought you would be a woman, but Eliezer, tell me, on Mother's Day, what is your perspective on the Golden Triangle?
Oh, I mean, it's house sales are very good. I mean, I'm not married yet, but then I just love the program. I've been talking to Dr. Joyce Ayi and Afish Andel. I'm so touched, and I just wanted to comment. I mean, house helps are very important, and I mean, as they said, I believe understanding husbands too are very important for their works. But then I don't have much to say about the triangle because I'm not married, and I just want to wish some two people in my life happy Mother's Day. My mom, Joyce Kuonu of Adan, and Miss Agnes Ahini of VRE Tama, and then Miss Justin Avle, Menad Avle's wife. I mean, they've been so great to me, and thank you very much. And a Mother's Day to Auntie Comfort. Bye-bye.
All right, thank you very much. And I can assure you that the song I play at the end of the show will be dedicated to the three women that you just mentioned, as well as Afi Amoro, and then Dr. Joyce Ayi, and of course to the registrar Comfort, and to Priscilla, who is standing behind the camera making sure we are all behaving ourselves. All right, so this is the show. 030-221-6541. Are you balancing the Golden Triangle? Is balance practicable, or we should just accept that Charlie you score? Julian, before we enter the studio, says Charlie, why are we 2 or 3? You can't score 3.
It can't be perfect, but you try and get close.
Is it possible to score 3 over 3? Share your experience with us and let's find out if you are scoring or you're just balancing. Right. 030-221-6541. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Your name, where are you calling from, please?
Hello.
Your name, where are you calling from, please?
My name is Belinda. I'm calling from Tesano.
Belinda, tell me, is balance possible?
It's not fully possible. I'm not married yet, but I don't have children too. But I saw my mother go through raising us and being a fire officer, and then being a leader in the church. And I must say it wasn't easy. We never had house help. My mother could wake up as early as 3 a.m. and make sure that she gets everything ready, as in food, and gets us ready by 4:35. And when it's Sunday, we run out of the house. And even if you are dying, you still go to church. It was a no for her. My mother would wake up on a Saturday morning, maybe sometimes around 3:30 or 4, to do the laundry, and then in the morning cook, and then you have to go to all the other places. And I picked that from her. And I think that it is not, you can't get it all the time balanced, but you could make some balances somewhere. Because
one thing is certain. One thing is absolutely certain. Mother's Day will always be bigger than Father's Day. All right, thank you so much. Let me take the last.
It's a good one to my mother, Faustina Nelson CD. She's been a great woman, and we really love her.
Say thank you to her for killing all the fires in the city.
I'll do that.
All right, the last caller. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Your name, where are you calling from, please?
My name is Nana. I'm calling from Nacho.
Nana, tell me, is balance possible? Family, ministry, and career?
It is very challenging. I work, I have 2 boys, and I'm also into ministry at my church. I have people that I look after, make sure they come to church, visit them after work, after church, and all those things. It's about planning. And I am very fortunate to have a very good house help and an auntie who takes care of my boys for me. So for the aspect, I think I'm okay with it. But at least you have to be there for your children. I leave the house very early, like 6 o'clock I will leave the house. I get to the house around 7:30, 8 there. I do all my cooking myself. Hello?
Yeah, we're listening to you with rapt attention. So one conclusion that we seem to have come to is that the work that women do, the work that mothers do, significantly impacts impacts your children, and even though they may see you as strict.
Thank you.
All right, so that's our show for tonight. I am coming up next to Walk with Jesus, and Pastor Atuakwa will have the privilege of hosting a person I've known all my life, and a person I truly appreciate, a person who was actually a mentor to me when I was growing up and pointed several things out to me. Lady Reverend Mrs. Adelaide Heward Mills is on the show tonight with Pastor Atuakwa, and I'm not going to miss it for anything. All right, I have 4 minutes to go, and why don't I get my 2 wonderful guests in the studio to cut this cake?
We have to wish our mothers.
Yes.
You have the microphones, you have the cake. So wish your mothers Happy Mother's Day.
And then I wish my mom, Jennifer Cohen, and my mother-in-law, Alberta Hammer,
you have to do
Happy
that one,
Mother's
or you
Day.
Go home.
Yes. So I really do wish them a happy
right.
Yes, I would like to wish my mom, Alisa Obiniwa, Happy Mother's Day, and to say thank you to her for everything she's done for us. Of course, and my mother-in-law, Afi Ifiavenu. And also to all my professional mothers, Miss Esther Koba, she taught me all the skills that I needed to have in communications. And then my powerful Pastor Reverend Charlotte Quigwin of ICGC.
Pastor Charlotte. All right, so let me get Priscilla to leave her camera and join the two of you to represent Springboard. Matthew, get behind the camera and be a good boy. And the knife is there, the cake is there. Since you can see, unless you are watching us on Facebook, since you can see, let me describe it for you. So the cake is white. It is tall. It has mom on it. It has some flowers and some
chocolate drizzle
and some. Is that what they call it?
Yes.
Some rain bead, some brown rain. You say it's chocolate drizzle. All right. So it's a show. Just cut the cake, and after that we'll play the song and dedicate it to all the wonderful women in Ghana. We celebrate you. So the cake is going down with Gina, Priscilla, and Jillian. Going, gone. I want to say a big thank you to you, Jillian and Gina, for making time to be with us. And I hope that I love the fact that those who are not yet married called in to say they are learning from you. I hope that in making the choices of their partners, the weighty issues you shared will influence their choice, so that they will be here 21 years into marriage to tell us how good it has been. Yeah. But thank you so much, and go to that family dinner and enjoy it now. And say hello to your husbands when you get home.
Thank you.
All right, so my name is Albert Okan, and since Gina used the words "it's not easy" 10 times, and the phone-in people to use the words "it's not easy," I'm going to play the song "It Wasn't Easy" by CC Winans to close the show. But the good news is that even though it wasn't easy, it was worth it. My name is Albert Okan. On behalf of Comfort, Matthew, Priscilla, and Amos, God bless you, God bless you, and God bless you. Good night.
Good night.
Don't think for a moment I never felt the pain. You can't imagine the hurt and the shame. They put the nails through my hands. Here's my sign, please.